Hey, this is Kaylandlamar, and welcome to the Pursue You podcast. I'm so excited about our conversation tonight for various reasons. The first thing is that we are going to be having a conversation within my Pursue You community about the power of community. So I wanted to welcome them all here for an opportunity to share with you the impact that Pursue You has had within them and just kind of have a candid conversation about the transformation that has taken place with them. Pursue You, the private Facebook community is officially two, and so this is kind of a celebratory moment as well as a moment of reflection, and just taking some time to be grateful in this season. So I do obviously faith is so important to me, and I know it's important to everyone here as well. And so Ecclesiastes 4 and 9 through 10 says, two are better than one. If either one of them falls down, one can help the other up. And that's kind of the basis in which I created the Pursue You private Facebook group, just as a resource, a way to come together and really dive into personal development at the community level. Is so important. And so I do thank each of you for being here. And this was a surprise, y'all. They didn't know that they were about to be recorded. They had no idea that this was about to happen. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. And I really am grateful for you being here and chatting with me on this live recording. So I want to open it up just by asking a couple questions. And obviously, you guys can use the chat feature, but I really would love to hear you, hear your voices, and as you share, just you can share your name if you would like to. But when I think of community, I really think about how God truly has designed us to be connected, not just to coexist with each other, but to actually pour into each other, to be intentional about how we show up for each other, because connection and community definitely takes things to the next level. And so I'm just really curious to know, as it pertains to our private Facebook group, I know all of y'all are really, really active, and this is so important to y'all as a whole, because you guys are probably, y'all are the most attended, y'all attended the most live sessions. And I'm just curious about what brought you to Pursue You in the first place, and maybe how it's impacted you since you've gotten here.
Well, I figured Trim would be first, but I will go ahead and say off the cuff, of course, you being who you are to me brought me to pursue you. Having been a part of your community in other ways, right? I knew what you brought to the table, and I was super excited for Pursue You when you launched it, and being a part of the Pursue You community has blessed me tremendously. Like all the topics that you bring to the forefront and to the table, like they're so much needed. And then the passion that you bring, the passion and the wisdom that you bring with it, right? It has been encouraging. It has been inspiring. It has been uh, had me in a chokehold plenty of times. So it's all of those things that, and I'm so proud of you. It doesn't seem like 2 years, but I'm so proud of you and what God has done and is doing. So that's what brought me to pursue you, because I've been blessed to be in community with you. And this is just pursue you was just a continuation of being in your community.
Okay, I can honestly say I don't know how I came across Pursue You. I I think it was curiosity, but ultimately I can say it was God, because he knew there were things that I needed to work on. And the lives, honestly, I can say they have pulled things out of me that I didn't even realize were like in me. But I can also say that I've grown a lot of relationships through Pursue You, like with you, for example, or Dion with two N's, Lewis. but I also want to like highlight the fact that I brought my own community to pursue you, and like people that I'm in community with, I invited them. And I can say that our relationships have grown, but I've also watched them grow as people. So just speaking to like the impact that the group does have on people, there is it's definitely evident that there is like an impact being made through the group.
Thank you both so much for answering that question. If anybody else wants to hop in, feel free to. But I just really wanted to take a moment to name the fact that, yes, Trinity, I remember when you came through, I was like, oh my gosh, she's brought the masses with her. And that's a part of community too, right? Like when you are in a situation where you're like getting something out of something, like you want your other people to hop on in and get some of that too. So I just genuinely appreciate you for that. And Dion, I remember back on the IG live sessions where you just have always been such a pivotal part of encouraging me, but also letting me know when I am stepping on your toes. I feel like we always do that. We are, I thank God for, community should be able to strengthen you by conviction, right? Like we should be able to share our truths and have a sense of safety where we're able to actually peel back the layers and say, hey, this is what I'm really experiencing, or that really hit home for me. I need to work on that. And so I just genuinely appreciate you guys for sharing that. Again, is there anybody else that would like to share before we move on to the next question? So again, the question was, how did you kind of stumble upon Pursue You, and what has the impact been like?
Well, I guess it's my turn. Uh, well, I stumbled upon Pursue You from Trinity because she told me about it. She told me much about it, and ever since I joined, I've noticed growth within me. It was very good on my personal growth. I really don't have a lot. I really don't have a lot to say, but the personal growth. But it really helped me grow. It helped me get out my shell even more, especially with me being on a campus full of you know students and everything and administrators. It really helped me. It really helped me get out my shell when it comes to speaking and talking to people in front, like, and even talking to a crowd of people, I should say. So yeah, I would say it really helped me in my personal development.
Thank you for sharing that, Miles. Yes, he has. He's grown so much, even just from meeting you from the first time all the way to now. I've seen so much growth in you, and I'm just really grateful that you are part of the community. Again, another example of Trinity bringing in a community member, whether she realized it or not, and impact being made. I understand. You're good. You're good. Lewis,
Okay.
go for it. I didn't know if you were able to come off mute yet.
Yes, I had to step outside so I can share. So, Pursue You. Where do we start? Like, this has been a baby of Kaylin's for a while. I remember her being on IG during COVID, um, and doing the IG lives for just the teachers. And I kept telling her that it's more than just the teachers. Like, there's more people that you can reach out than just teachers. And then I remember her saying, Dion, I think I want to do a Facebook group. And I'm like, you can do it. You can get on there. She even got me on there one week, y'all. But I am so proud of you. This community has helped me grow as a person, from being Dion that is a people pleaser to Dion that is able to say no and put boundaries and be able to set the tone of what I want for my life. So I appreciate this community. I appreciate a lot of people. I brought some people in, but like I said, it's not for everybody. So yes, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dion. And look, just like you've brought people in and Trinity has brought people in, I brought people in too. And at first, thinking about, because when you send out just an initial invitation or even talking about personal growth, sometimes people will have the conversation with you and they're like, yeah, that sounds great. And then when the rubber hits the road, when that friction starts taking place, it's like, oh, this is what this is like. And again, it's definitely not for everybody because everybody's not in that particular season of life. But that's where, especially, as things have kind of transitioned for me with being a bit more faith based for sure than I was when I first started off, like Dion with two ends was saying, I started off with just going live sharing self-care tips for teachers, but things have really transitioned into more so just, my personal relationship with God. And as I have just really grown in Him, I've gotten better. It's still a little tough sometimes because you try not to take things personally. But I've gotten so much better with the fact that you know what, everything is not for everybody in this season. Maybe later on they might hop on in, or it might be one of those things where I know in January everybody has their goals, right? Everybody's like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and it sounds so good, but and that's why I commend all of you that are here. Y'all are not just from January to February and then kind of fall off. It's been a consistent thing for you all. You've shown up Monday after Monday or Thursday after Thursday. One of my lives were Thursday, and you've been super intentional about your growth and super intentional about the way that you show up in this community. And again, I'm super grateful. So I have another question, and again, I know I'm kind of putting y'all on the spot, so I just really appreciate y'all for coming off mute and sharing out. And obviously, if there's anything else y'all want to add to the conversation, feel free to, because this is not just me. I want to hear from you guys for sure. So, as far as it pertains to like where you are in this season, the lives that we have had throughout this year in particular. I know we've covered some super intense topics. We've talked about a lot of things that has pushed everybody, including myself, into just reflection and growth. The rebuild has been something that has been a theme for us throughout our time together this year. And it has really, y'all have no idea, it has really blessed me. The rebuild was something that I know God placed on my heart, not just because there are things that God places on your hearts to keep for yourself. Then there's things that God, hey, Naya, that God places on your heart for other people, right? And so I knew when I got when he kind of dropped it in my spirit, I knew it wasn't just for me. I knew, I was like, hey, this is for everybody. I have to share this. And so in sharing the vision for the rebuild, it was just so amazing the way that God kind of layered things. Everything was kind of building upon each other. We laid the foundation, and we went through and we talked about some very key components of the rebuild. And I went through a season, and we'll talk more about that later, a season of kind of a quiet rebuild. So a lot of times rebuilds are loud, right? Construction's happening. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of people present. There's a lot of things going on. But within our time, my time, like the silent rebuild, I feel like I kind of went quiet, right? I wasn't going live consistently. I took some time to myself. And then God just did his thing where he was like, you're not done yet. Right. And so in doing so, he brought me to this point that I'm in right now, in which I'm super grateful for because I know that it's him. Like he has his hand on it. Even this idea, it's him, right? Because I would normally not do anything like this, but I know that God is truly in charge in this season. And so one of the things we've been talking about since I feel like it was last year, we definitely had surrender season, and surrender season has kind of followed us uh throughout our time together. I'm curious about, especially as it pertains to surrender, what has been some things like Pursue You has kind of pushed you to surrender?
Can I just say that not just pushed me to surrender, even though in Wake Up and Win, we did a whole month on surrender, and I'm sure you recall, you, Pursue You, took me on a deeper dive of what surrender truly, truly is. Like, I thought I knew what it meant to surrender, and I thought I was. But you do something different or you did something different with surrender. And even watching you in your surrender season, right? Like, it really framed and reframed surrender for me. Now, full transparency, I'm still working through that whole surrender thing. Um, because when I think I have or I am, I'm learning that what I've learned, I've truly not surrendered completely the way I need to. So thank you for shaping and framing for me the realness of what surrender is.
Can I hear the full question again?
Yeah, sure. And thank you, Dion, for that. I really appreciate that. And yes, when you did surrender and Wake Up and Win, I know the people that are in the Wellness Warriors, that we were probably on the same wavelength. Like, it was just like, whoa. And so that deeper dive that you were talking about, because we were I feel like surrender season was like the whole last half of the year. It was like October all the way through December. And so it just really, I don't know, same thing with me. There's certain parts of my life that's easier to surrender than others, so just that constant, the constant reminders, or the constant like shift that we knowing that I need to make, or just pinpointing certain things. So it's definitely a forever thing. But Trend, the question was, as it pertains to just like life in general, what's been some things that our conversations in Pursue You what that you have that's kind of helped you with surrender, or what are some things you've surrendered um since we've kind of talked about surrender? And
Okay, so I'm gonna speak to like the things that I've surrendered. Who knew we were gonna be on here sharing stuff this deep? But I can say like when we had the conversation, it pushed me to like surrendering my plan for my life. Um for the past year, I've been on a like journey to deepen my relationship with God, and I've been building like my trust with God because I do have trust issues, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about the trust issues that they have when it comes to like God, just because of like things that they've dealt with regular people. But I'm a super strategic, and I'm also a super like planned out person. If I have a plan that's like the way that I feel like everything should go, I'm expected to go that way. So just like the plans that I had for my life, I kind of feel like once I started to realize things were not going the way that I thought that they were going to go, I thought life was falling apart. But what I realized was that God had different plans for my life, and they were really falling together in a way. So I would definitely say that those conversations helped me like push through like what I was thinking versus what was actually happening in the spiritual realm. So yeah.
that was good right there. That just did something to me. Just hearing your perspective and knowing your journey, right? Like knowing that you're being 100% authentic. Like it's a struggle, and not just for you. Yeah, you answered it. You're good. You have genuinely worked towards um being a better version of yourself, but also showing up in a way that's peeling back the layers and taking off the mask. And I think a lot of times, like you said, people don't share their struggles. People don't share the trust issues, like you were talking about, that they might have with people, but also with God, because a lot of times it's just like this understood. You don't trust in God. Why don't you trust in God? What are you know, like, where's your trust? It's like a lot of questioning, but it's like, how do you build trust with God? How do you really show up in a way that maybe you don't have it all together, but guess what? It's okay. You're still making that valid effort to try. What does effort look like for you? Everybody is different, right? Maybe with you in this season, you're focusing on you reading the Bible and being intentional about your time. Like everybody, and that's the thing. I feel like, especially with personal development, a lot of people think that growth is just this one thing. Like there's this secret sauce, this particular way to do it, right? Everybody has to be doing the same thing. We're reading the same self-help books, and we're, we wake up at 5 a.m, and it's like all these things are the checklist of things that you do the right way, but that's not it. It's so much deeper than a checklist. It's how do you become? Like, what are you doing to actually be intentional about who you are becoming? How do you build things in your life? Because life is already happening. How do you create things within your everyday life that you already have going on to actually focus on those weak spots, those points where you really need to work on, those things you want to lean into in this season, those things that God is calling you to lean into? Because sometimes it's not necessarily things we want to lean into. It's just like, oh, I got to get this. Like, this is it. I got to get it. I do want to leave space for if anyone else wants to chime in. Again, the question was about surrender. What has been some things that, or something that our Facebook group has kind of pushed you to surrender? And Dion, I saw you had came off mute. If you wanted to share, you feel free to.
Okay. I thought she was going to say something, so I was waiting to see if she said anything. So around the same time when you were addressing and talking about surrender in the group, the word that kept echoing and coming up in my spirit was vulnerability. And for so many of you that do know me, you know that vulnerability is definitely an area in which I am totally hesitant about surrendering to. But during the time that you were explaining and talking about what surrender means, the fact that you have to surrender to what makes you comfortable. Well, discomfort creates the room for me to grow. And the whole basis of me being in a part of this group is what the title actually says, is I'm in pursuit of myself. Like, I'm in pursuit of getting to know me. And if that means that I'm being called to the table to surrender worrying about what everybody else thinks or what perception other people have of me, and vulnerability is the key, then I think that it truly surfaced that for me, because I never knew how to name. I don't think I knew the name of what it was in which I was struggling and battling with, because I felt like in moments when I needed to, I showed a side, or as you like to call me, your onion. I showed a layer to myself of those who needed it. But it felt like God wanted me to do more than that. Not just whenever I felt like it was appropriate or when I felt like it was needed. It was more so like, this is what I need of you. Now, have I totally reached that phase? But do I know it, and can I see it? And I do think that that is truly due to the work that you have us do within this group. Because as you mentioned before, it's not like, oh, well, this is just our subject at hand for now. This is just the subject at hand for now. It is truly purposeful. You can tell that God has crafted it and laid it out. Like, it's effortless almost. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, you're 100% right on everything that you just said. Watching God move and knowing that it's nothing but Him, just the way that He does things and the way He, like, how it'll be one thing that'll be said, but everybody will say, like, "Oh my goodness!" Like, you just know it's nothing but God. I got the amen corner. I feel like everybody, y'all be sending all kind of emojis and letting me know whenever and it's not me, y'all. And a lot of times, because I know I've had this conversation with most of you on here, it's like, I know it's not me, and y'all can tell when it's not me because I go somewhere else, and my body language, and it's just like all, it's just a shift, right? Because I know that it's something that God needs us to hear, and so many times, so many times we ignore those things that we really need to listen to, and not just be aware, but be able to, okay, now that this is like to the forefront, what is the action behind it? What are we doing? And pursuit is an action word, right? Pursue is an action word. And as we pursue, as we continue on this pursuit, we're in community with one another, but also our individual pursuits. It's just so important for us to always recognize that there's going to have to be action. Like there's no pursuit without action. And so what does that look like? Again, this is another part of everybody's action is different. What are you faced with in this moment? What are you trying to, what area are you trying to grow in? What has God kind of pulled to the forefront that you need to work on? It's going to be different. But the overarching thing is that you recognize it and you start to make those steps, no matter what those steps look like. Maybe they're baby steps, maybe they're really big steps. God is a God of quantum leap. So sometimes when he's like, oh, you got it, let's go and take off, right? So just being able to receive that and being able in a space to see it and not be blinded. I know a while ago I was talking about being blinded. And so many times we'll walk around with our blinders on, we'll walk around with, and so much so we're just running into things. It's like, no, God doesn't want us to walk around like that. He doesn't want us to be completely oblivious to the things we need to improve upon. He needs us to be in a certain space so that we are able to show up as the most authentic version of ourselves, but also so that we're able to push the kingdom forward, so that we're able to show up for others, so that because we're supposed to be servants, right? Like, how can we serve the community? How can we do our part in this thing called life if we are not making any efforts to see, to we want to just be blind and not pay attention. So welcome Taylor and Jaquisha. I appreciate you guys for hopping on. And if you do not already see the record button, the record light is on. This is being recorded. I do want to take a moment to tell y'all, make sure y'all know if you come off of mute, which I would love for you to, there's a 99.9% chance that what you say will be shared with the Pursue You podcast community, which I hope that you're okay with. But if you are not, I completely understand. Feel free to use the chat, and I promise you I will not take it personally. But I do appreciate you both for being here. So if I'm going to ask you one final question, and then I'm going to leave kind of a space open for you guys to share. So my final question is, I was speaking earlier about my silent struggles, right? And this is something that I have I dealt with. I remember at one point during the summer, I kind of shared a little bit of my almost imposter syndrome, but really more so just being in my head about like my personal self-worth, the way that I show up, and like, is anybody hearing? Does anybody really care? If I don't go live for 2 or 3 months, will it be a big deal? I know that's something that, God has really been working on me with. And even when I decided to do this tonight, I was like, you know what? I know it's going to at least be like 3 or 4 people on there that are able to come. And so, like, pushing past the discomfort has been something that I have had to. It's not, I say it all the time, not just to say it. And y'all know I don't just say stuff to say it. I say it because I genuinely have had to make it a lifestyle, pushing past the discomfort, because I know that on the other side of that discomfort is going to be growth. that's something that I've had to live by, because if not, fear will paralyze you. Fear will have you not doing a thing, or especially not doing what you've been called to, the things that you're supposed to be doing, the things that God has really placed on your heart. And so I'm really curious, and again, add to it as much as you want. I want to hear, I would love to hear from everybody, but I do recognize everybody might not want to answer a question, or you might not be at a point where you can. But I'm just really, I wonder, do you guys have any particular things that, as it pertains to our conversations and pursue you, anything that has really stood out to you, like overarchingly over this past year, that has been like this is a big, like, I really learned this is something I have started to do, this is the action that I've started to focus on throughout my life. I've been intentional about this ever since we've talked about it, or ever since it's been kind of brought to the forefront. This is one of the things that I have been working towards or working on. I'm just curious again, because I told y'all impact, right? Like, I know everybody's is different. How this community helps each person is different, but also because I want to know the action behind it. I'm just really curious about how you've been implementing some of the things we've been talking about. So Dion with two N's, I see you have your hand up. Feel free to come off mute.
Okay, so one of the things that I've been working on since we have talked about it was starting off with Jenny Allen, Get Out of Your Head, that book. So remembering that I have a choice has been really, like, I guess it's been like in the back of my mind over and over again. Like, it doesn't matter which topic we talk about in Pursue You. It goes back to that of, you have a choice of how you think, how you control your thoughts, and how you can, move forward. So I think that's one of the concepts that I just kind of always is in the back of my mind. And it's always like, if I have to do some self-reflection for myself, even if I'm talking out loud or venting to anybody about it, it's like I go back and say, well, I have a choice. I have a choice to either stay in these feelings, stay in these emotions, or move past it and make sound decisions. So that was one of the concepts.
Thank you for sharing, Dion.
I was trying to get my thoughts in order. I could say that the rebuild, that is something that, like, the whole process of this rebuild is something that really has, like, shifted my mindset in a way, because usually, like, when I hear rebuild, the first thing that comes to my mind is restart. And it's something that I wasn't really comfortable with doing. I don't know why. I guess it's because, like, the time that I've spent building, like, the life that I have, or building the mindset that I have, or whatever, I wasn't really open to restarting. And that kind of goes back to that surrendering thing, where, like, I had to surrender to what God's plan was for me, and not necessarily what I planned for myself. The thought is not finished, so I might come back.
I got you, and thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else want to share kind of some overarching thing that you've been working on personally?
Okay, so like Dion with two N's mentioned, the Get Out of Your Head is truly one of the things that I go back to often. But another one of the ones that I go back to is Untangle Your Emotions. And so in Untangle, because as I mentioned before, that vulnerability thing. Okay. And so one of my takeaways from that is she referenced, like, the 3 C's in that book. I don't know if y'all remember that. The, what was it? Conceal, control, and cope, right? So I really saw myself in two of those areas, the conceal and the control aspect. And I think that goes hand in hand with the fact that it wasn't until surrender season truly that I identified the name of what it was. But
as a person that often tries to do that, it's because, okay, hold on, let me make sure I make it plain and make it sense. So like, oftentimes, because of the fear of how people are going to respond or react, or because of the idea that it's so important that you always keep it together, like keep it together, almost like a perfect patty kind of thing. So you pretend that everything is fine. It's like you mentioned those silent struggles, but in all reality, everything is not fine, and you just battle and struggle with it internally. And I was like, oh my God, is that what I'm doing? Is that what's happening with me? And then when you are in that control area and you're just trying to take charge of everything around, or even the people around, or the situation that's happening at hand, and you don't even truly really have control of that. And then it makes you become like this person that's walking around and you're out of touch with what is even happening with reality, because you've created kind of like this distortion because you think you can control, but you can't control. So I think that like reflecting on those pieces and then walking into the fact that you talked about surrendering. And then if you do, like, how do you begin to rebuild? Like, what tools do I need to even start like deconstructing years? Because this isn't something that just happened like, oh, yesterday or whatever. This is years of concealing, not tapping in, not articulating, not speaking to the emotion, the feeling, the thought that's happening, because I'm fine, So I don't know if I answered it. I'm like Trinity now. I don't know if I answered it. It's so much that I find myself just going back to when moments surface. So I think that ultimately what I have gotten is so many little weapons for my arsenal, so that when things about myself surface, I'm like, okay, this is what this is. Like, I can name it. Okay, and now that I've named it, what was the tool that I needed to help me combat that? Because continuing to sit on and just eat it and I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm not fine. Like, I'm losing so much of me saying that I am fine, because for me to even be saying this like out loud right now is really a big deal. So anyways, that be that.
Can I just say, good God, good God, good God. I was literally texting what she just, Narlisha, listening to you is such a big deal. And it speaks volume to just growth. And I know that took a lot for you to just give to us. And this is not my show, but I, as a friend, thank you for your vulnerability and your transparency, because I know how difficult that is for you. And I just love it. And I love you for opening yourself up for this growth, for this journey. Sorry, Kaylin, didn't mean to take but I was texting, typing, and couldn't get it out fast enough.
Oh, you are perfectly fine. Those my sentiments exactly. I was literally about to say, for the for those of you that don't know Norlisha, but know Norlisha, like the and we always talk about how she will always be like my number one testimonial when it comes to, I know one of the times whenever I was redoing my website, I was like, I need some more testimonials. So she was like, girl, I got you. And so she takes this thing for real, y'all. Like, no joke. We've had some very intense conversations and some very like deep dives about the topics we discuss on Pursue You. And I know Trinity, you have had like after hours conversations about like our discussions with, your community as well. And so like, and that's the thing about it. When you hear it on the live, that's the beginning, right? Like that shouldn't be oh, well, I heard it and that's it. That's the beginning of what should be a process in which you, kind of like Norlisha was speaking to, you go back to it, or when it comes up, you're able to, hey, I remember this topic, or I remember this conversation. What was it that we talked about? Same thing with sharing things with your, like, intimate circle. Because again, this isn't for everybody to know everything. I think a lot of times we think authentic means that you're just like walking around word vomiting everything and sharing everything with everybody. That's not necessarily the case. Authenticity looks like showing up for your people in the way that that's true to you, and being the best version of yourself that you can be. For some people they can walk around and that's this, you get that same version of them no matter what. But for some people, again, it's a step-by-step thing. Everybody's not in the same arena when it comes to that. So peeling back the layers, or just being able to share certain things that you normally wouldn't do, that's growth. That's definitely growth. So I know it seems like this went by quickly, but I do want to just take some time. If there's anything else that you guys would like to share, I'm not giving any more prompts. Feel free to share it. It could be about the community, anything you want to tell. Like if someone were to be listening to the Pursue You podcast for the first time, like come on over to the Pursue You private Facebook group. What they are missing out on, but just anything you would like to share, feel free to. The floor is yours.
Can I go back to my thought? Okay. So I was talking about how like the rebuild really helped me because I had to learn how to surrender. It was a point where I had to realize, like, because I was building on a cracked foundation, that everything was going to keep like hindering me, or I was going to have to keep going back. So there were a couple of things that you had said in your life, and I have my notebook right here. So I would like to read. It's literally a couple. It's just two. But you said this pertaining to the rebuild, and it says, you can't build a better you if you're holding on to things that are not good for you, that are not serving you, and things that are truly becoming obstacles that are getting in your way. And I think one of the things that I kind of was scared about was losing all of that time that it took me to like plan out what my life should look like and stuff. And there was one live that I think it was in April, you said, because God is a God of time, anytime that you may have lost, he will give it back. And that's something that truly helped me through like my fear of restarting because of time. So yeah, I really appreciate you for your obedience and actually continuing with the group, because it's helped so many people, and the world actually needs a Pursue You. So
Thank you, Trinity. Thank you for sharing that. These quotes be getting me because I'm like, I said that. But again, the floor is open to anyone else that would like to share as we kind of close out this discussion.
I was to say, for anyone that views the podcast, first of all, the podcast is everything. Kaylin, proud of you for stepping out and doing that as well. But to anyone that's listening to this one in particular, your life will be deeply and richly blessed by Kaylin, the podcast. Hop over to Pursue You, become a member, and join. Invite all of your friends. I promise your life will be significantly impacted, blessed, stretched, all of the things. I know we live by the standard that there is no growth in comfortability, right? And that's one thing I absolutely adore and love about our community, our friendship, is that we stretch each other, and Pursue You definitely has stretched me. And I appreciate that because I know in my stretching, I am growing. I am, much like Norlisha, layers are being peeled back. And it keeps me, puts me in a space that I can be a better version of Dion. And I'm grateful for you for that and for this community. So to whomever, join Pursue You in every way on all the platforms. Your life will be richly blessed.
Thank you so much. I love you.
Okay, so I just want to say to anyone that might be interested in Pursue You or listening to this podcast, that if you just tap in, just take the moment to tap in, this will be a great experience for you. Whether you join the Facebook group and do some of the reflection questions, listening to Kayland's podcast, listening to her on live, you will definitely get something out of this group. It's a community that we share, whether we share publicly or inwardly or just on the live in our comments, we share. We keep accountability with each other, especially when we were doing the books and reading books and stuff. But there's so many different things that you can get out of this community. So if anyone is interested, I say go for it. Just take that first step and listen to the podcast. Join the Facebook group. Come one Monday, listen, and I guarantee your life will be blessed.
Thank you, Dion.
So I think that if there is anyone, and I mean, I know that this is a time where it seems like we all are battling so much, but I think that if there is anyone, or if you know of anyone that, or if you are definitely that person that is silently struggling and feeling like you have to internalize so much and handle it on your own, I believe that this is a space, and I mean, which avoidance is absolutely the opposite of what should be happening in that season, because when you're in that type of pain, all it does is fester in your head. But this is a safe space in which this community gives you an opportunity to not see so many things as a threat, but you are able to find refuge in it. You are able to find you're able to take risk because the fact that it is so intimate, and it gives you that connection in which you can thrive to find the truth within yourself. Not be perfect in doing so, but it's a journey. Like, it's so many people in here that give you the usher of me too. Like, you no longer feel like you're the only person experiencing this type of thing. You begin to see yourself in so many of the others and find strength and resilience in that. That's that validation. That's that accountability that Dion spoke to. You get that encouragement every now and again. We all can benefit from a little booty pat. And I think that truly, like, your perspective begins to shift when you're in a group like this. It gives you that connection piece, a connection with others, like-minded individual. If you are building a relationship with Christ, you begin to see him in all you do. We always say, like, Jesus, I see you, Jesus, we see you, or let me see you. You begin to be able to look at situations and be like, okay, this is God. Even in this, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all that above, you begin to see him because of the people that you are linked up with in this type of community, that shared purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've talked way more than I.
Look, that's so good. That's so good. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's perspective, right? Because everybody's in a different season. And so, like, a lot of times people don't think that they're in this point, but it's like at this point, but it's like, no, you are. And you could benefit from these types of conversations from a community like the one that, God has allowed me to cultivate and Pursue You. And just from being around like-minded people that are headed in the same direction as you, that are all on kind of like the one accord, like we all on our different paths, but we're all heading in the same direction, which is growth. So thank you again for sharing. All right. Well, thank you guys again for tuning in to another episode of the Pursue You podcast. I could not think of a better way to show you guys how important community is. Community is absolutely necessary. And you saw right here on this episode just how impactful it can be. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend about the community over here that we have in the Pursue You private Facebook group, but also on the Pursue You podcast. I look forward to tapping in with you guys on our next episode. And remember to take care of yourself, because if you don't, no one else will. Bye.